The what if analysis is just exactly kind of what it says. What if, right? So basically you're trying to get some information out of this spreadsheet so that you know what maybe your next step needs to be. And I'll give you an example. So in this scenario, this is for like a student that has to get a 70 on their final grade, but they got one test left to go. And the question is, right now, where are they at right now with their final grade before they take the test? And the question is, what do they need to get on that test to get to a 70 passing grade? Okay. So the first thing you need to do in a what if analysis is we want this to be the average. This needs to be a formula. Okay. So I'm going to double click inside the cell. And when I click on the cell, so this is one of the things I explain with Excel. So Excel is, when you look at a cell, you might be looking at what you think is a number, but it might not actually be a number, right? It might be the product of a formula, right? And so what's in that cell? So in order to know what's in the cell, you can't just click, you can't just look at it, right? You have to click on it. And when you click on it, this is either going to be a formula up here in your formula bar, or it's going to be a number, or it's going to be text, or it's going to be a link, right? And so whatever it is, you have to have a formula in your data. So this right here, this needs to be the average formula, because I need to average up all these grades, and it has to equal 70 or better in order for me to be able to pass this student. It's kind of fitting, right, as a teacher. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to equal. So for you guys, if you don't know Excel very well, when you start a formula, when you start writing a formula, always start with an equal sign. And then there's 500 and something functions. These are all different functions. They do different things. This is coding, you guys, right? So this is basically a code was created. It was named average. And what it was designed to do by the super techie smart guys out there that created this function is create an average of whatever cell range you give it. So I'm going to equal average. There it is right there. And when I do a single left click, it takes me down and kind of describes what that function will actually do. So average returns the average of its arguments, which can be numbers or a range of numbers or whatever, or references that contain numbers, anything like that. It's giving you back an average. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? So I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to select all of these cells, even the cell B6 where test number 3 is right now, and I don't have anything in there yet because I didn't take that test yet. But eventually, I'm going to need to average all of those scores, right? So I'm averaging B2 to B6. I'm not averaging 58, 70, 72, 60, and then whatever. When you're in a formula, you always refer to the cell. Those are your arguments. The cell arguments here is B2 to B6. Average up all those numbers that are in those cells. So you do not refer to the content in the cell. You refer to the cell itself. Make sense? Okay. So right now it looks like that number 65 is still there. And it's like, wait a minute, that was the same as before. Not necessarily. Now I click on that cell, and now look. It's not giving me a number. It's giving me a formula. So that 65 is something that I know is actually the product of this formula, right? So whatever this formula is telling it to do, that's why I'm getting the number 65. It's not because somebody just typed in that number, okay? Okay, so here's the deal. What I need to know in the what if analysis is what do I need to get on test number 3 that I've not taken yet to get me to a final grade of 70 or better? Because that is my passing grade. If I don't get a 70 in this class, I fail, right? So I need to get this to 70. So in your data tab in Excel, you have a forecast group over here in all your icons, in your commands, and you have the what if analysis. In the what if analysis, I'm going to go to goal seek because my goal is to get to 70, but I don't know what I need to get on the third test to get me from 65 to 70. So that's the question, right? So I'm going to go to goal seek. And basically right here is saying, okay, what cell do we need to set first and foremost? And what do we need to set it at? Well, I need to set cell B7, right? And what does it need to be? It needs to be 70, right? It needs to be at least 70. All I care is get me to 70, right? Okay, so we know what we need, know what cell we need to set. We know what we need to set it at. We need to set cell B7. This needs to be 70. Cool. Then, okay. What cell do I need to change to get me to 70? This one, right? B6. I need to know what cell B6 score has to be to get B7 to 70. So by changing what cell, and I can just go click on it. I don't have to type it in. And when you type in a cell, You don't have to capitalize the letter. So I know that takes so much effort holding that shift key down, but sometimes it does. Why are there dollars in front of the B and the 6? We're creating an absolute reference. What that means is think of those dollars if you ever see those. And again, we talk about the absolute and relative referencing throughout almost the entire course. And basically think of those dollar signs as anchors. A for absolute, A for anchors. In other words, if I copy this formula down or over, it's not going to move. It's going to stay on cell B6. So there's other exercises that we do to kind of show you how that works. So this is the scenario, right? This is my goal. I need to know what I need to get on test number 3 to get at least a final grade of 70. Ready? Check this out. It's working. It's working. Boom, right there. So you saw the numbers kind of going back and forth a little bit, like, hold on, we're checking, hold on, busy, 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 boom. So it's telling you need to get a 90. So you're probably gonna have to study, right? So in order to get to that final grade of 70, you need to be at 90 or better on that test. Isn't that cool? All right, I have another one for you. So this is car sales. And on this one, it's a little bit different scenario, but same situation. We're gonna use the same exercise. On the goal seek, so say you're buying a car, right? Which my ex works at Tampa Honda. So go see Mike Pelletier if you need a car, Tampa Honda. Call him Tampa Honda Mike. Anyway, I had to do a plug. I need my child support. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so you go in the dealership, you're haggling, right? We all have been there. We've been there, done that. Hate doing it, but it is what it is, right? So you go in there with a mindset that I cannot be more than $400 a month on my car payment. So the scenario is this: you picked out a car, it's 20 grand. So that's the loan amount. So maybe it was 22 and you put 2 down or whatever, but the 20,000 is the loan amount. You're doing 4 years, 48 months at an interest rate of 4%. Okay. And the payment is $451.58. How did I get that payment? Yes, there's another function for that. It's called the PMT function, where you put in what the term is, divided by 12, because you're making 12 payments a year, what the interest rate is, and then what the principal is. And then boom, it calculates. It is awesome. It calculates the payment for you. We actually do this in one of our classes in Excel, where we create a loan amortization schedule for a house, for a mortgage, for 30 years. And we do it all from scratch. And you see how this all, like, how we create this awesome spreadsheet. And then at the end, I show the students that there's a template in Excel that has everything already. And they're like, really? You just put us through all this torture and all it was a template? But it's a great learning exercise. It takes us a full day, sometimes even a little bit more, to go through that loan amortization schedule. So in this situation, the goal is to get to $400 a month, no more. So what needs to change? Well, we have 3 things here, technically, that we could change, right? We could ask the dealership to give us a break on the price, right? It's probably not going to happen. The interest rate. How good is your credit? Are you dealing with their credit people, or are you going to go get your own loan from your own bank? And do we maybe need to add another year of payments to get to the 400 instead of 451 a month? I don't know. Let's go see, right? So I'm going to go back to the what if analysis. And again, this is where the formula is. So this is what we know needs to change. A formula has to be here. So it can't just be a number. It won't work. So in the data analysis and that what if analysis, you have to have that formula in there. So I'm going to go back up to here, go to the what if analysis, go to the goal seek. And the goal is what? Well, I need to set cell E7 to what? 400, right? By changing what cell? Now, this is where we could choose either one of those 3. But the first thing I want to do is I want to haggle, right? I want to get that price down, okay? So we're haggling with the sales guy, and maybe he'll budge, maybe he won't, but maybe I can tell him what that needs to be at. So check this out. So change cell E6, which is where the principal is, the loan amount, to whatever it needs to be to get cell E7 down to 400. So are they going to give you roughly $100 off the price of the car? Maybe. If you go see Tampa Honda Mike, maybe. Tell him I sent you. So what's the likelihood, right? So you can come back. These are real life scenarios, you guys, that you can do before you go buy furniture, before you go buy a car, before you go buy a house, is to know where your numbers are, right? Okay, so you go back to the sales guy and he's like, yeah, no, not happening. Cancel that. Go back to 451. All right, so what else do we need to change? So you go back to what if analysis, go to goal seek, set cell E7 to back to 400. Now what? Maybe the interest rate. Right? Maybe we can get a better interest rate. But what does that interest rate need to be at to get me to 400? I don't know. Let's go see. Right? So 4%, let's go see what that will change to. Negative 2%. Okay. Probably not going to happen. All right. So scratch that idea. The interest rate ain't going to change. So now let's go figure out the term. So if I set cell E7 to 400 by changing the term, Now, this is something you could work with realistically, right? So then it might not be 48 months. It might be a couple of more months, but let's see. So that we get to our $400 a month goal, how many months do we have to be paying this loan? So just about 55 months. How about another 6 months? Another 6 months of payments at $400 a month would get you to your goal. So it would just add another 6 months of payments onto your loan. So 54, 55 payments. So goal seek, what if analysis.